with us today. Pindile, may I ask you to start the recording, please? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session on Google Meet and extensions. Right, my name is Hlengiwe Mfeka from Schoolnet South Africa. I am a facilitator at Schoolnet. I'm also a projects manager. Right, so if I may recap, in our previous session, we were looking at Google Classroom as well as Google Assessment. Today, we are diving into a new platform other than Google Classroom, which is called Google Meet, but previously called Google Hangout. Others, they still call it Google Hangout. Others, they call it Google Hangouts Meet. It doesn't matter what you call it. Right, so what is today's agenda, or what are we going to cover today? Today, we are going to look at Google Meet as a synchronous as well as an asynchronous platform. We will look at the orientation, or rather we take you through Google Meet's orientation, and we also take you through accessing Meets from Classroom. And I think most of our demonstration will be based on Google Classroom, on how you can actually use Google Meet in Google Classroom. That is setting up your Google Meet in your Google Classroom, sharing pre-reading materials with your students, and also using a whiteboard Google Meet whilst in the meeting. And finally, we will share with you other available Google Meet extensions that you can add on when using Google Meet. So that is our agenda today. What is Google Meet? Right, as you can see here, we have Googled it for you. Google Meet is a video communication service which is developed by Google. It's previously known as Google Hangouts, right? And another definition, it's a real-time meetings by Google using your web browser. You don't need to download any application. You use a video, so it's a video conferencing, and you can share presentations, files with your team, with your students. If you are a business person, you can share these meetings with your customers. Right.
This is
another thing perhaps to mention. Yes.
I'm not sure which screen you're presenting currently. We are seeing the classroom instead of the presentation.
Come again?
We are seeing the classroom instead of the presentation, where we could see the definition of Google Meet. So we're not seeing the presentation.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Queen, about that. Let me stop sharing and perhaps share my entire screen instead of a window. Right.
Bigger.
All right. I just wanted to ensure if you can see it. I'm now going to have it on presentation mode. Hopefully it's going to be bigger. Right. How is that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Much better. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Right. Another thing to note about Google Meet is that anyone with a Google account can create this online meeting. As you can see from the last screen grab, it says with up to 100 participants, but that's been updated due to COVID. It's now up to 250 participants, and Previously it used to be up to 60 minutes per meeting, but it's no longer limited. What Google has done is that they have included their they have included their exclusive functions to everyone, so it is available to everyone. Right, so that is Google Meet for you. Right, now Google Meet, right? We spoke about Google Classroom. Your Google Classroom, that is where you teach your content. That is where you share materials with your students. That is where your students submit assignments. You share homework. You collaborate with your students asynchronously. That is why we, looking at the slide, reminding ourselves and comparing synchronous learning as well as asynchronous learning. Now with Google Meet, that is a virtual meeting for synchronous learning. For example, let's say you have shared an assignment with your students, but you want to unpack it on a face-to-face mode. By face-to-face in inverted commas, we're looking at your virtual classroom where you actually present or discuss or collaborate with your learners at the same time, right? Quickly, synchronous learning, it's that virtual environment at the same time, which is Google Meet. What you do, you send a specific time for learners to connect to a session. Obviously, they would need to be online and have internet connectivity. Now, the teacher can teach a concept, or they can chat with the students or demonstrate something to the students. You can set homework and due date and how to actually submit that homework. That is synchronous learning. Asynchronous learning, complete work in old time. That is, students complete the work at their own time via Google Classroom. Participate in discussion, collaboration in online shared document, prepare projects or assignment. This is still done, but at their own time, students do this, even though the teacher can set a deadline or a due date for these assignments or homework. Right. So basically, in a nutshell, asynchronous learning is self-paced completion of work before a due date, whereas with synchronous learning, it's a virtual meeting happening at the same time. Right. Now, we want to take you through this Google Meet on how do you actually set up this Google Meet session with your learners. Now, Google Meet, there are multiple ways to access Google Meet. You can access Google Meet via your web browser using meet.google.com. You can access Google Meet in your with your Google account in your inbox. You can start a meeting. You can also access Google Meet via Google Classroom or directly through Google Classroom. So what we're going to do is to quickly demonstrate to you how to access it in web browser. That is the first one. And later on, we will demonstrate how do you actually set up your Google Meet in a Google Classroom. That's when we will proceed with all the other demonstrations in Google Classroom, because we want to integrate the knowledge that you already have from the previous sessions about Google Classroom with Google Meet. But if it is your first time joining in the meeting, don't feel left out that you have missed out, so you won't be able to connect the dots. Don't worry about that. the session is also perfect for you as a standalone session. Right. With the screenshot, what you see here, it's Google Meet through a web browser. So this is the window that you see where you can actually start the meeting or join the meeting. Right. I'm going to run through the screen grabs. After running through the screen grabs quickly, then I will proceed to the actual demo where you see the real thing. Please forgive me, my internet connection, it's a bit slow. In case when we open Windows, you may find it slow. That's why I decided that I will take you through the screen grabs before we move on to the demo. Right. So this is where you start the meeting. The plus, it's either you join meeting if you have a link or you start a meeting. Right. But the best way to set up the meeting is to use a calendar. Right. We will get to that when we do a demo. Now let's do a quick orientation while we are here in our presentation mode using this screen grab. Right, let's look at number one. What do you see in number one? Our number one is the microphone. That is where you mute the microphone while the meeting is in progress as a participant. But as a presenter or a teacher, you should have your microphone unmuted. As you can see here, my microphone in this screen grab is unmuted, right? But for you as a participant, it is recommended or advisable that you unmute, you mute your microphone so that there is no background noise, right? And then number two, it's that is for you to leave the meeting. When you want to leave the meeting, then you click on number two, right? It's number three, that is to turn on or turn off your video, right? At the moment, what you see is a video turned off, right? Again, this is what we recommend when you are participating or when you are attending the meeting, to turn off your video. That will save your data. That's number one. Also, number two, it doesn't interrupt the presentation. And then we have our number four, which is captions. This is an amazing function with Google Meet, which you may not find in other video conferencing platforms. The captions, that is when you are presenting the sessions and the session, what happens is that if you turn on the captions, what you speak, you would have the captions of everything you say. Even if your students are responding to the questions or they commenting or discussing, there will be captions of what they are saying. This is very helpful for our challenged learners, maybe who suffer from hearing impaired, who have hearing impaired, kind of, right? So that is your turn on captions, right? That's our number four. Then we have our number five. Our number five, it's the meeting details. That when you click on number five, you would see that is where you can copy the link to share with whoever you want to join the meeting, right? Again, under meeting details, that is where you can find attachments that you have included in the meeting when you were setting up the meeting in your calendar. Right, that's number 5. Number 6, it's more options. Those three, those three dots. Now, for more options, you are able to see more functions other than the ones that are displayed. It's your whiteboard. We will look at the whiteboard later on in our presentation. You can also change the layout of how you want to view the meeting, the full screen. You can turn on your background as a presenter if you have your video turned on. We've already spoken about the captions and troubleshooting, and there are other settings that you can actually under settings, that's where you can change your video settings or your audio settings. Then moving on to our number 7. Our number 7, that's where you can view other participants who are in the meeting. Then our number 8 is our live chat. With our live chat, our number 8 and number 9 works together. With our live chat, you can click on the chat box to access the live chat, and you can send the message to the entire group or the entire students who are in the meeting. And whoever is in the meeting is able to send through messages. Right. What is lovely here with the live chats, especially if you're working with students, you know how naughty our students can become. So you can easily set you can change the settings here when it comes to the chat box, where you say you don't want your students or your participants to send through messages. So you can disable that function, and when you want them to communicate, you can turn on that that function. Same as in the WhatsApp, where you say only administrators can send through the messages. Right. And then the last one, which is our number 10, it's the present now function. With the present now function, that is where you actually share your screen with the audience. You decide what you want to share. Do you want to share the entire screen? Do you want to share a specific window? Or you want to share, let me recall, what is the third option? We will see, I've forgotten what's the third option, but there are 3 options there. So that is the orientation of Meet, you know, different tools or different functions that you can find in Google Meet. Right. Now that we've done the orientation, I feel that it's time for us to go to our demo instead of me talking you through this whole thing. That is when the next slide that I've just that you see right now, that is when you join through or you set up your meeting through Google Classroom. Right, so let's start our demonstration using the web browser. I'm now going to exit my presentation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing and share again. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, Pindi.
Hi, can we ask Didi Malang Mushesh to please stop presenting? Because now we can see
share.
her screen, yeah. Because now, yeah.
I'm sure he can hear you now.
Yes, thank you.
Right, now back to sharing my screen. Right. As I mentioned earlier on, my connection is, the speed is not too great. So what I've done here, I've typed in meet.google.com
Hi,
because
Sister.
I want to demonstrate. Yes.
Can we sort out Didi Malang, because you are still not presenting because Didi Malang
She's
is
the
presenting.
one.
What must I do?
Malang,
What must I do?
can you please stop sharing?
Okay.
I think it's fine now.
It looks like
stopped.
it
Yeah.
started now. Right.
Yes, it's sorted now.
Super.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Good people, this is exactly what you are going to experience when you have your virtual meeting with your students. Right. So don't be upset when one of your students does that. It's by an accident. They like to explore. Right. My Meet is busy loading. While it's busy loading, perhaps to save our time, I will go to the classroom because my classroom is already open. Right. So you will remember how to open your Google Classroom. You go to our Google Apps menu, right? From Google Apps menu, right? From Google Apps menu, you will go
Please
to,
present again. Sorry to disturb again.
you want me to present my screen?
Yes, I
Yes.
don't think it's presented.
Oh, okay. Right. So this is through a web browser. I'm back to demonstrating through a web browser because we're not going to spend much time here. It's loaded, so I can go to new meeting, right? So you can have an option to get a meeting link to share before you even start the meeting. Or for instance, my colleague or one of the students, they want to connect with me, and it's not a scheduled meeting, it's unplanned meeting, so we can have an instant meeting, right? Or we can have an option to schedule our meeting using a Google Calendar, which is the ideal option for you, right? But we will go to the instant meeting, right, for our demonstration purposes. We will demonstrate setting up through Google Calendar via Google Classroom, right? As you can see, it's busy loading, right? So as a teacher, you need to be very patient with the virtual meetings due to a number of reasons. One, you find that your students, they live in a location where the connection is not great. I've turned on my video so that you can see my face. I've now turned off my video cam. Now can click on join now or present, but I will go with an option to join the meeting, right? Right, so it's busy loading. Now, as you can see here, again, I can copy the joining information to share with whoever I want to be part of this meeting, or you can use that option to add their email addresses if you know their email addresses. All right. So I can close that option. This is the screen grab that I have already shared with you. Let's go to the meeting details. I mentioned that these are the details. Again, this is the meeting link. So with the meeting link, you see that you can find it everywhere. And then in terms of the attachment, this is where you would see at the moment I don't have any attachment. That's why you don't see anything, but this is where they would sit. And you can access them during the meeting. All right. Otherwise, the rest I have already I've already explained the different functions and how they what is their work, what they do, and then I want to dive into this option, present now. Now, when you present, when I click on present now, you see that there are three options. As I've mentioned, it's your entire screen, your window, as well as your Chrome tab. That's the one I had forgotten. Right. So with the entire screen, it's very easy because you can actually present the whole screen without worrying. For example, earlier on, I selected present a window because I wanted you to only see my window. But again, there are cons with that when you want to move on to another window, so you need to change the settings. Whereas with the entire screen, you don't worry about that. You decide what you want to do. Presenting a specific window, it's good, especially if you don't want your students to see other things that you're doing. Maybe in your windows, you have like your assessment for them. Maybe you have your email open and you don't want them to see your private messages or anything private that is not for their eyes, right? So you go for a window. Okay, right. Now with the window, again, what is also lovely is that when you choose an option to present a window, let me click on it. Right, when you choose an option to present a window, like this is the first one, it's our meeting, the actual meeting, our session right now. So I can decide if it's I can decide that this is what I want to share. Maybe I don't have any files or presentation, it's just a discussion, or maybe we are collaborating in a chat box, so I don't want them to see any other stuff other than our meeting. Then I can select that. Again, with the option of selecting a window, you are able to have you are able to see your students' chats in the background, as well as the window that you want to present. Let me click on this one. I'm really not sure what it's going to show us. Right. It's not going to work quite nicely because I'm demonstrating while I'm in another meeting. Now, I'm not sure, like when I want to go to this other window that I want to display to my students, now you are going to see it, whereas the purpose is for my students, my other class, to see that particular window. Right, let me now exit. Let me exit demonstrating the web browser and go to the classroom. Right, now this is our class. Remember, with our classroom, let's see what's happening here. Okay, this is the class I want to demonstrate. Are you able to see my 7B classroom? Can you see my 7B classroom?
Yes.
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 Right. Wonderful. Right. So this is your class. In your Google Classroom, you will have all your classes that you have created here for this demonstration. This is the class that we created while we were doing AMA sessions for Google Classroom. So I'm going to get into this class, right? And then I would go to classwork. Remember, classwork, that's your classroom. That is where you create your assignments. That is where you actually create your assessment. You share anything that you want to share. You collaborate and everything in the classwork tab, right? Now, we are not in Google Classroom. The purpose for us to come to Google Classroom, it's because we want to demonstrate to you how do you set up a Google Meet meeting. Okay, so you use a Google Calendar to do that, right? So you go to Google Calendar. Right. It's loading the entire calendar. Right. This is the calendar for my class. So to create to start or create a Google Meet meeting, I click on that plus, right? Right. So I add a title. Perhaps your title, it's the title of the meeting, maybe is to discuss earthquake or whatever you want to say. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to call it demo meet, right? And then set the date. When would this session happen? So you click there. You select, okay, I want this meeting to happen on Thursday. I want to have a session with my students at 5 o'clock for an hour until 6 p.m. So you can select the time here until, again, you can select the time. If you don't, for instance, you want the meeting to start at 6:30 or to end at 6:35, but you don't have 6:35 in the list, you can easily type in that time, right? The time zone. With the time zone, for instance, maybe your session includes international students. It's not a local meeting, so it's important to set the time zone, right? And you can add your guest, but I'm not going to do that right away. This one is very important to select add Google Meet video conferencing, right? Already it gives us the link to the meeting. Then you can add your students, so you can type in their email addresses. But you don't have to, because what you would do is that you would copy this link and post it in the stream, or post it where you have your discussions and for all your students to see and access the meeting. Right. What is also lovely here when you set up your meeting is that you can have a description. Maybe the purpose of the meeting, or perhaps you have shared the assignment with them and you put in a note to say you need to attend this live session before completing your assignment. Alternatively, or listen to a recording if you are unable to attend, right? So that is right, that's the description. And for the attachment, say you want them to examine the work or the content that you will be discussing before the meeting. So you can add an attachment, a file. Maybe it's a PDF reading, which is in your computer. If it's in your computer, you have an option to upload that particular document. So you click on upload, then select from your device the file that you want to upload. Then you go to where the file is, right? And this is the file that I want to share with the students. Then I click open. Right, as you can see, I have an option to add more than one file, but I'm not going to do that in this meeting, but there is that option to add more than one file. Then you click on upload. Right, it's busy uploading. While it's busy uploading, another option, if the file that you want to share with your students is saved in your Google Drive. So you click on My Drive. Right, as you can see, my file is uploaded. Right, I was demonstrating another option to share from your Google Drive. So you click on My Drive, and you can search for the file that you want to share with your students. But I'm not going to select any file here. Maybe it's a document that has been shared with you by someone else you want to share with your student. Maybe one of the teachers shared this file with you. You also want to share it with your students. So this is the file you want to share. You click on the file, you select, you click on select to upload the file. I'm not going to upload it because of my internet connection. It may take time to load the document, but that's how you do it. Right, closing that option. Right, so here's the attachment. Now, okay, let me add a few people to this meeting. I would add Zodumo. There you go. I'm also going to add Pindi. There's Pindi, Queen, and Matapelo. Right. Right. So I then click on save. Right. Now I have an option here to send to their calendar as well as a notification to their email addresses, which is, I would advise that. So I'm going to click send so that if they, for example, they don't have their classroom open. But anyway, even with Google Classroom, you do get, you do receive notifications, maybe to avoid multiple notification and irritating people. You may don't want to send, but if you want to send, then you can click on send. Right. Now, here's another element which is very important. Sometimes you find that you share with someone and you haven't had the permissions, permissions to access the document. So here, it allows you to actually set that up, right? So you set your permissions, whether you want them to view or you want them to edit. I want them to actually edit the document. If it's a PDF or a reading, you don't want them to add anything, then you would say it's for viewing purposes, and then you click on invite. So I'm going to click on my invite, right? Right, so that is how you set up your meeting, right? Back to my classroom, my stream. Now, once you have set your meeting, oops, okay, we still have it here. I can click on it. So I can copy this link, click on copy the link, right? Then I go to my class and I can share the link, meeting link. And I can decide if I want to share with all the students, or maybe it's specific students that I want to share the meeting. Maybe it's a group kind of session. So I would select those students whom I want to invite in this meeting, right? But for this one, it's all students, right? Then I will click on post, right? There's no way they're gonna miss this. This is the joining. Another one, it's that option to the meeting link will also be there. You can go to the settings gear. As you can see here, this meeting is not visible to my students, which means I can set a meeting prior to, I can schedule a meeting, but make it invisible to my learners at the time when I'm setting up the meeting. And I can change that to my settings when I want my student to access and actually see the link to the meeting. This is where I do that. Visible to students, that's the link. Then I would enable this option to say, yes, I want my student to see the link. Then I click on save. Right, when they go to their class, they are able to click on the link to join in the meeting, or they can click on the one that I have shared with them. Right, the last one before I hand over the microphone to Queen to share the extensions. Actually, she's going to, there are so many extensions with Google Meet, but for the purpose of this meeting, we will share one essential extension that Queen is going to demonstrate. The others we will just talk you through. You would explore it during your own time. Right, so the last part that I want to demonstrate when you have your live meeting. Here's my other live meeting. Come on. All right, perhaps let me just click on the meeting that I have created. All right, yeah, let me do that. So as a teacher, I'm joining in the meeting before the session, before the time, to check everything is working. Right, so I go to join, close that. I'm closing that. Right, I want to demonstrate to you. Okay, now you have your session on. You have your session on, and you want to, you know, when you are in class, you have a blackboard. Here in Google Meet, we have a whiteboard, which is your Jamboard. Right, so I click on my whiteboard, then right in the meeting, I can start a new whiteboard for my students to collaborate. We call it a Jamboard. You can use this Jamboard external from Google Meet. It's an amazing tool, which is also a Google tool. So this is your board where you can invite your students. Now, the moment you create this board, the link is automatically shared with the students in the chat box. As you can see here, once I click on create, here's the link, then the students can actually click on the link and collaborate in my new Jamboard. Perhaps let's make this live and do it right here in our own meeting. Okay, so here's our whiteboard in this meeting. So I start our Jamboard for us to quickly collaborate on what we have learned. What's happening? I don't know why. Right, so that's our Jamboard. You can teach using Jamboard. It's amazing for collaboration. Maybe if it's your first time seeing Jamboard, I'm quickly going to share what you can do with Jamboard. Now, there are different tools here in Jamboard. Please feel free to click on the link if you can, so that you can come in here and collaborate. So you've got your tools here, your pen. With the pens, this is the pen, the marker, the highlighter, as well as a brush, and you can select the color. We've got an eraser. This is a selector, and we have a sticky note, which I love, and you can add an image here. You can also use shapes. That's what I'm going to use for this quick collaboration of ours. So I'm going to have this one box, and if you can duplicate, like I click and then I say duplicate, then I have another box here. Right, then I can have my text box, right? So my text box, I'm going to have it here. So this is synchronous. It's synchronous, synchronous learning. Okay, that's our left box. Then I duplicate and move it across for our asynchronous learning. Now, what I would like you to do as our collaborating, just to experience it, I want you to use a sticky note to actually type what you know about synchronous learning and what you know about asynchronous learning, and actually post it in a relevant box. So this is your sticky note. So you click on your sticky note, and then I have at the same time, and I can choose a color depending on my mood. I want pink for this one. I can go for transparent if I want to. Then I click on save. There's my sticky note, right? And then I can drag this. At the same time, where should this one go? Synchronous or asynchronous? Talk to me. Synchronous or asynchronous? Anyone? Where should this go? Come on, students.
Synchronous. Synchronous.
Synchronous. Yes, Mr. Mzobe, wonderful. So I paste it here under synchronous. Then I ask you as my students to do the same. You see, you can plan this as a teacher, whether you are going to type and then you ask them synchronous or asynchronous, or you get your students to actually pick on the sticky note, or if they want, they can actually write. This is a board, isn't it? So with the board, you can also write. So they can decide whether they want to write or they want to use a sticky note. But for this purpose, so that it looks neat, I want you to use a sticky note. Can I ask my colleagues to also join in and participate quickly, just for 30 seconds to show and so that we can demonstrate how does this work in a classroom environment with your students joining in. And any one of us, you are invited to actually participate in this quick activity. Right. Let's get going. Just one sticky note.
I think the Jamboard is currently just viewable, so we're not able to amend or make changes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's check the settings. What you can also do while it's busy loading, what you can also do here, you can insert pictures so you can get a table. You can get a table from the internet. Okay, please check if you are able to edit now.
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Right, once you have it, then you can stick it or post it to a relevant box. Can see Matapelo. What is also wonderful about this, because these are your students, they use their sign in and you are able to see who is doing what. For example, I can see that at own time, that is Matapelo, and I'm able to, gauge their understanding. There is that's self-paced. I can see Pindi is here, but perhaps she's still trying to figure out how to click on the sticky note. Maybe you can then assist Pindi because you are able to see who is doing what. Right. We're going to stop there with the demonstration of Jamboard. Like I've mentioned, you can add an image. You see now we have a lot that's coming in. The students are collaborating. And at the end, maybe you can have a debrief to ensure that, the stickers are at the correct places, have a discussion, maybe others are disagreeing and stuff. So this is really amazing. This is the function for adding an image. The image, you can add it from the web browser, or you can add it from your computer if you have that image that you want to use. Maybe you want your students to label that particular image, or you want them to discuss anything that you want, you can actually put it up here. You can prepare a table that you can put it up as an image and get your students to collaborate around that particular table. Right, I'm going to stop here. I'm so sorry, Queen, I didn't give you enough time for your demo, but at least it's one extension that Queen is going to take us through. Over to you, Queen.
All right. Good afternoon, colleagues. So I'm just gonna, Klingwei, can you continue sharing your screen and just go to that last slide?
Right. Right, there you go.
All right. So basically now we're gonna talk about one of the extensions that is available for Google Meet. So Google Meet has this lovely, amazing extension called Google Meet Attendance. So this Google Meet Attendance extension allows you to record or take your classroom register by capturing a new sheet or a new spreadsheet and just being able to see which students were present and not. So what happens is that Ms. Matapelos Hume will take you through a live demo. However, what happens is you have to be basically using Google Chrome for you to access Google Meet attendance, and you have to be logged in with your user account so that you have access to it. So once you have activated your Google Meet attendance, you are able to see this picture on my far left, where it shows you people, it shows you a box with a tick inside as well as the chat. So here is where you are able to get your attendance register in terms of your students. So for example, you need to turn on your indicators so that you're able to record your student as they join in at their separate times. So once you have done that and you have selected your page or your sheet or your new spreadsheet, this is how it will appear on your Google Sheet. So it will show your participant's name. It will show you what time Dimakato joined and what time did Dimakato leave the session. So in this case, you're able to even tell if your student was there for a whole duration of your lesson or they just join in to just mark attendance and leave. Right, Matapelo, I'll hand over to you so you could demo how they could do or how to add Meet extension.
Matapelo, do you want me to stop sharing my screen and you share yours?
I think that's the ideal situation because currently I've got my extension running. And I think it's going to be a much better demonstration from my system because then they can see the actual full application. So whilst I share my screen, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to present my entire screen so that you see exactly how it is on my end. Please mind all the messages that may be popping in from time to time. I'm in between different windows. Yeah, so please do mind that. Right. I'm hoping, can someone just indicate that they're able to see my screen currently so that I can quickly demo?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Lovely stuff. So what I currently have now is my Chrome. And I think it's important that I mention that this particular extension works better. In fact, I think it's important that I mention that most of the applications run much better on Chrome. So it's important that you just have your Chrome on. So if you look at my screen on the far right-hand side, where my image is, you will see that I've got what we call extension. And
Matapelo,
yeah.
Matapelo, to the other side, you're breaking.
Okay, am I breaking? Let me try to move a bit to check if my connectivity will be better. Right. I hope I'm sounding better now. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So if you look at the extreme right-hand side, you will see what we call extension. And you will see that something that looks like a puzzle And when
Now
you hover over it, it says extension. And when you click, Quinn, can you indicate my connectivity? Am I audible?
No, you're breaking.
Am I breaking still?
Yes.
Okay. Let me try find a different spot, and I'm hoping that it will work much better and not totally mess up the current connection. Am I sounding any better?
Yes, where you are.
Yes, there you are.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start again. If you look at the extreme right-hand side, you will see what we call my extension. And you will have click on that extension. Carry on. I just need to briefly explain that extension just simply permits additional features on the current running application. So in this instance, because we're using Hangout, over time, develop what we call extensions in order to enable the additional feature. So what I have here are my list of extensions, and you will see here I have what is called the Meet attendance. But when you click on Manage Extension, you will see that a totally new page appears. And on the right-hand side, it says Developer Mode. Just make sure that your system is always not on developer mode, because this is where developers who are creating extensions test the applications. And you will see that then you've got your different extension. And if you are looking for a particular extension, you just type it in the search box at the top, and then a list of extensions will pop, and then you click on the one that you want, and then you add extension. So that's basically how you add. And when you are tired of using that particular extension, you just go back where we started. You go to your puzzle, you click on it, you go down, you go Manage Extensions, and when you're there, you have the option to remove the extension. You also have the option to disable the extension if you're feeling that you know it's slowing down your system and you'd rather not use it for a particular period of time. So you have that option of disabling it, and then when you want to use it again, you can enable it. Right. So we're going to assume that I was looking for my Meet attendance. I searched for it, I found it, and then I ran it, and then it's now on. What I need to mention as well is the fact that whenever you run an extension, it's important that you restart installing it, just close down your Chrome.
Can you maybe go on? Let's see what happened.
Are you able to see me now? Because I found a different spot.
Yeah, I think it sounds better now. Can we maybe try again?
Okay. So we're going to imagine that I've installed now the extension. And when you look at my screen, you will see that it says here on the left-hand side, or sort of on the left, it says Show Everyone. And under Show Everyone, or right at the top, it has the number 32. That's an indication that my application or my extension is running. And when I click on the extension, you will see that it has people, and right next to it, it has an arrow where you are able to download the list of people. So this, in essence, works as your attendance register. You're able to take a picture of all the people that are currently attending class. And what you're able to do is you're able to add a sheet or create a new spreadsheet. So what it does is it notes down everyone that's attended the training session. And then what it does is it captures everyone's names. And then it captures also the amount of times that you drop or you disconnect and reconnect. And what that does is then it sort of gives you an indication of which learners were able to attend your class. But what's key is that you'll see that it's got the number 8. So from time to time, you need to keep on downloading the register. And then you will see when I click on that, it opens a new spreadsheet. And then it's got everybody's name indicated on it. And you will see that the actual participant is currently 58. And it includes everyone that's sort of dropped and undropped within the period. And then it shows the period that the person joined the call. So in the instance where you joined in 47 minutes in the session, it will indicate as well. So I think that's it on my end in terms of the register extension.
Thank you so much, Matapelo, and to say thank you to everyone who is still with us. We have gone over time. We apologize about that. What we're going to do in an instance where we were breaking, we are going to re-record that portion and match it with the entire recording so that you are able to follow all the demonstrations and they are clear. Right, so that is the end of our session today. Please complete the attendance register. It's very important. And then finally, we have other upcoming sessions. Next week, we have our Microsoft session, and then the following week, we will have our next Google session. Matapela, are you able to put up the upcoming session, the schedule for the upcoming sessions, so that they can take a photograph of that? Right, so these are our upcoming sessions. As you can see, for our next Google session, we will be looking at creating engaging lessons using Google Slides. That's gonna be amazing. I love Google Slides. Right, thank you so much. I know that the time is not on our side, but if there is a question, we do have the WhatsApp group. You can post